Welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. We have been talking about how love is more powerful than fear, and that is when you choose it. You'll choose it when you choose to be yourself, and that's when you're an open hearted person who is navigating life from your VBS, the ventral vagal state. So the 5D Collective, the coherent state, mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving people. We are non-traumatized, securely attached, and or working with emotions. So everybody has a different way that they talk about trauma, but trauma is going to take place when you are overwhelmed. So if you have a window welcome to emotions and you have a whole 3-year-old heart and you're leading with your higher true self, then you are great and on board with coherence. And if instead there's others, we're not going to talk about 3D 4D today. I am looking to focus true partnership. Okay, so that means romantic in this case. Also, anyone who is a whole safe person is going to be a secure connection. Okay, and that means that they are consistently a functional child adult who knows forgiveness. For our collective here, we talk about forgiveness, Christ consciousness. There's a reason I do come with lovely God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, although because I am a Akashic record reader, Reiki master, I'm polyamory, I'm not married, I don't want children, I'm a woman, all these words that really to a person who is intellectually, emotionally, and physically intelligent, academically, I don't have anything to say to stupidity. Ignorance is not bliss for a person like me, but I do understand that the half-safe people have an identity, and they're not half-safe to me. Not even remotely close. Actually, I have been looking to consistently master what God taught me about being humble. So, with that being said, remember, welcome me as I am. Yes, I am crooked. I have self acceptance. The only person, meaning entity, God, Akash, source. I have no questions about anything faith related, and anybody who doesn't have faith, they don't have to. Sciences luckily brings people to be able and actually welcome the kingdom of God within them. Yes, heaven and the seat of enlightenment. It's called restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. If they choose to use their prefrontal. We have a Zen master who doesn't want to. And so, with that being said, it's not hard to do emotions for some of us, and for those who it is, Patrick Tiahan and Terry Real are out there doing the best they can to tell you why you want to go to them so you can stop projecting your childhood and trauma time upon everybody. And really, again, that's why it's not a half-safe person. It's a not genuine person. When I meet masks, I learn thanks to my facade friend how to handle them. And then the trauma educators inform me of what I'm dealing with, which is why now I think of people who are playing out karma time even when interacting some with me, and I think, oh gosh, this is so sad, because they totally could get out of it and live the best life now, and actually get out of what is self-loathing, gut wrench, and really horrible emotional charges that are handled by a Pat Ogden with sensory motor, or the somatic experiencing that Peter Levine doesn't practice anymore, but I know Diane Heller, I think is her last name, does apply somatic experiencing, and she also works with attachment styles. I like the attachment categories. They're a lot more accurate from the brain, the embodied brain perspective, from what I've learned with interpersonal neurobiology is the framework. So anyways, I'm attachment trauma informed, but remember, I'm the pseudoscience woo-woo lady, and I'm a 5D mystic mentor, content creator, and podcast host, and I get to inspire human potential by saying, yes, be yourself. And now I know why so many aren't. I am myself. She's a 3-year-old, and she got taught how when a rude human being gets in my face, I'm going to not say anything at all. Also, I'm 4'9", but also you're not God. So, and God told me, follow my son, forgive, turn the other cheek, and blessed are those who believe without saying anything, without seeing, within your heart. So I know you will have chosen one of 2 ways to live. If you're restorative embodied, welcome aboard, love. Awesome. If not, well, I again know exactly how to handle all of those cowards who were unkind, who also were backstabbers, who also consistently showed me how they didn't know that their aging would continue. Adolescence. It didn't change once I got to college. Then I got grown up. So it's one of 2 ways you live. You live with love or you live with fear, because their modulated embodiment is distress. So that's how I'm going to break it down. And again, nobody needs to have to be non-reactive. You can keep on being your little fists and continuing to do half-safe person for others. The more, let's not do that one right now. Here, treat every symptom as having a purpose, not as a problem. There's intelligence in any symptom. Every symptom has a purpose. Thank you, Pat Ogden. But that's when you're healing with a therapist, not when you're just projecting it around town. Because it's thanks to the lovely therapist. Where is that other quote that I was going to read to y'all? Not that one. I'm going to have to move to this area. But yeah, people don't understand that if they're speaking shit to each other, that's not you healing. You're just playing karma time. And again, adaptive child. It's like watching Mean Girls or something, or Hangover. Not really. I mean, I have Cusco, Diego. I use stories for a reason so that we don't insult human beings who could become smarter than the average, and Schopenhauer, I know what you said about the masses and the large audiences. So trending topics, anybody? I always think, wow, now I know why they're still adolescent brains, because they're only using the left brain. And they're rigid, and their black and white thinking is, oh no, you can't bring science and spirituality together. So please do remember, when you hang out with people who don't welcome expansion, I have learned how to be polite. And today, to remind myself, you want to use your ears with all expanding academic funny bone people. And remember that when somebody's coming in as a piece of consciousness, that your contribution will be that you remember to do, if you can't say something, I should say nothing, and then to listen mindfully, because they are still a 3-year-old and they're a brother and sister, and God sent them your way. And so while they might have chosen fear, it's still not Lucifer. It's just a dysregulated, modulated, embodied human being who doesn't know how to self-regulate in their healthy self-soothing mechanism. And so at the end of the day, it's okay. I don't need to make them be in their ventral vagal state. In fact, their active manners will show me if they welcome an unconsciously loving, flawed human being who has integrity and is empowered. Securely attached, non-traumatized people, we look at people with empowered eyes. No shame at all. So that means shit comes up, and if you want, you project, and that's why I have a fun time with everyone, but that's not the couples that I'm talking about. So partnership is none of that. Partnership actually is this. It's, I enjoy every moment with you, and I expand who you are as you are, and you expand me as I am. So you can be polyamory or monoamory. We will expand each other. We will not insult each other. You can believe in that politics, that religion, that all of these things that we do see. There's a bunch of people online that don't know how to do it. But we don't have to copy the ignorant, low self-esteem individuals who don't know how to just handle what is called differences intellectually and emotionally. And believe me, I've been in situations where this didn't happen. I'm just saying, it's not some news. I have a master's degree in international relations and diplomacy. I have had plenty of interactions with individuals. I consistently learn how not to use my breath, meaning my mouth, meaning my words. Okay, Bezel van der Kolk, MD. A therapist can, for the time being, play the role of being an external observer sometimes. So when people are not able to own, witness, narrate their own karma, their own trauma stuff, their own half safe, their own mask, because they take themselves seriously and want to live a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. So they want to become a securely attached higher self. They've taken all the trauma education online for free, meaning all of those people are supporting them and say, yep, I want it. And they go to the ones that are out there that are good, and they do know how to differentiate between who is a good therapist and who is a bad one, meaning effective or not. The bad ones, they give you a pathology and a diagnosis. They also tell you lies, which is your pathology isn't healable, because they don't believe in Bezel van der Kolk, Stephen Porges. So again, remember, some people don't believe in neuroscience and in polyvagal theory. He's still looking to build the data. Okay, so that's why they twist things to each other. All I'm going to say is a person who cares is going to give you options, not isolate you. They're going to give you more, not less. And they definitely won't come at you with a all or nothing, black or white, this or that. And if anybody does buy into that bullshit, hey, Cusco, Patrick Tiahan can help you reparent that inner child who buys into basically your child's idea of what a grown-up should look like, and you're trying not to replicate your abusive household parents, so you're copying somebody who really don't want to copy, meaning they're not the best of the best of the best of anything. The best of the best of the best will give you more than two. And the fact is, if you're uncomfortable with that, that shows a person, excuse me, you're confusing science spirituality, that you are dominated by the left mode, which doesn't like when different things touch. And that means your right mode goes into structural dissociation and cognitive dissonance. And you not noticing that you get, compassion people, I don't want love, that's a red flag. And so again, those who have heard all of it, there's one of two ways people will respond to the information that expands them and gets heaven in the body. God, kingdom of God. Your true self, your higher self, is what you are meant to be. There's goodness in every person, but you can't access it if you don't access your own heart and say yes to self-compassion and say, yes, I'm crooked. But say, yes, I'm flawed, with integrity, with being able to get those emotional bodies back online. There's a whole journey. So long story short, though, here we are empowered to support all of those who are healing, and we do not insult the ones who are not. They actively do have a role. I will make fun of them, though, with Cusco, Diego's family, and all that. And no, I will not be specifying names, because that's really petty. When I see people doing it, I'm like, wow, you sound like teenagers who basically didn't get over being treated in a certain way, and therapy would benefit you too, because stingy energy is very small. Anytime a person will have a feeling that they were wronged, life was unfair, but in a way of not knowing how to process the emotion, they will have it and they will use it. In fact, there's people who say leverage it. I have a very different way to tell you that's if you're a mindfully living, loving person and you are spirituality and you are with faith. Okay, so here's where it's different with God and Jesus and Holy Spirit, because you learned to forgive. Other types of spirituality groups, they don't talk to you about forgiveness. They talk to you in ways of we're one energy, where we will have encounters with each other so we can learn and expand. Okay, so they're all different, but I can tell you with forgiveness in the forefront, it's easy. And it's easy to process because of, okay, yeah, I'm upset. I've been presented something, but I know that God has presented me something so that I can learn, and that Jesus is the one that I'm supposed to copy, if anyone, follow. So when you meet Stephen Porges, who says, yes, biologically rude people don't know what they're doing, or Dr. Daniel Siegel, or Dr. Daniel Fox, and then you understand what karma time. It's really sad. Again, it's sad to think that so many human beings out there could do way better, and they're not. But that's why they also have people who will not allow them to be alone. Doesn't mean it's enjoyable to watch as Diego's family walks around, but it's definitely not Lucifer. Gabor Mate is doing a great job at trying to help people who are in the maladaptive patterns of behavior, drinking, drugging, fucking. It's not about promiscuity and needing to close yourself off in the cloisters. I'm so surprised that we still have so many human beings who are living the medieval times. I mean, really, on YouTube, not in the streets, of course. If somebody is in a specific neighborhood, I understand that intellectually, but when I look at YouTube and I see the variety of individuals who actively are not, I'm just mind blown, because I'm like, you're using internet. How are you using internet and not coming across? And it's actually, anyways, let me leave it to the side. We all have different perspectives when it comes to how to handle that which is the lack of intellect. And intellect to me means you can be intelligent, which also means you do not deny data because you don't like it. The minute I don't like it, okay, yeah, sure, you keep using your mouth. I'm going to smile again and leave it alone, because that left mode is cut off from Purusha Prakriti, and that's about as easy and straightforward as it gets. So the real role of the therapist is to activate the internal self-observation part. When you have people who are internal observers, that's why they can present to each other the capacity to be remarkable. So couples together heal each other as best friends, confidants. They are better than any therapist because they're romantically engaged. Now, it's not that they're better, it's that when you are romantically engaged, we are opening our hearts in a vulnerable way, but we're also healthy self-worth, so we don't do characterological distinctions. I don't shame you, I don't blame you, I don't make you work hard. That's not a functional child adult. That's not a healthy relationship. No, the ones who do codependent stuff, they can use Terreal so that they can learn how to accept themselves with healthy self-worth, to present their true self and not a mask, and to open the heart. That's the part that is most important, because when you have an adaptive child, they're often, again, perfectionist, harsh, unforgiving. They see the world in black and white. It's the child's version of what a grown up should look like, could have been like, and they're also denying in unconscious ways. They're trying not to replicate what was done to them, but then they have mannerisms of what was done to them. Okay, so they care only about self-preservation. Their view of intimacy is that it's threatening, and they're in that, which is why, as Patrick Tan points out, when somebody is still projecting their inner child wounds from their trauma, it will be with people who are close, which is why in a romantic relationship they come up. But if you have a healthy, self-worth, non-traumatized, secure, attached person, they're going to use a ventrovagal tone, and that is the moment of truth, where if somebody's expanding to more and to wanting to be what is a functional adult, which is a mature, thoughtful, nuanced, forgiving human being, they will. I'm flawed, you're flawed. They won't come and you're manipulating, you're thoughtless, you're this, you're that. They won't use those manners. They will disengage from protective manners. And so they will also, not only react to the aggressor, but they also identify with the aggressor. They bring forth the manners, because you will hold yourself how you were held, but you will also hold another as you were held. I was held with equanimity, and I was held with, you don't shame people. Those are the disrespectful ones. You talk to people. And so equanimity is what adaptable functional adults. So unlike the child parts, the functional adult learns new skills and uses their words to talk about feelings. And okay, this is my subjective experience. This is how I felt when you didn't do this thing, because, I don't know, I like that you can open the door. I'm not that, but I'm saying you can talk about it, how you interpreted something, and then the person who's also functional adult, and that's why the inner child makes it fun. Okay, this is how I thought of it, and that's why every conversation is going to consistently be something that is understanding of imperfections and ambiguity versus being reactive. The people who only want twos, they don't know how to be with threes, fours, fives, and they think it's right or wrong. And so again, that harsh, rigid, unforgiving attitude is not mature. Those are emotionally immature, unavailable people. If they're available to themselves, and if they know enough about, again, wanting to be a functional child adult, but they have to actually want to also be in their ventral. And what I've noticed is people, they use words very easily from online, but they don't put it into practice. So you make sense of trauma and its impact on relationships. And what is actually true partnership, again, it's when you love yourself first, and then you also can love another. And I take you as you are, you take me as I am, I expand you, and I will always expand you, and you will always expand me. So whether you're polyamory, monoamory, you use pronouns, no pronouns, you're not poly enough, there's not, oh my god, you're a whore, you're a masochist, they're gonna, you know what, traditions have to be upheld in this way, so people who are doing this shit they don't have a functional adult for anywhere near. The ones who do, they don't do any of it. Those are the couples that thrive, because that's a securely attached couple, by the way. The ones who don't want it, they don't have to have it. At the end of the day, you can marry your unfinished business, as Terry Real would point out, and you live out karma and fate. And really, it's not a bad deal. I see them all over the place, meaning that sympathetic is what our ancestors were using before. And so with Robert Sapolsky in Determined, he says there's no free will. There's other people who tell you have no self. It's an illusion. And there are people who like to hear that, like the Zen master who says nobody can be in enlightenment because you will have laundry, that dragging of a pain point. Okay, so when people have thoughts and emotions hard, therapy. Then when you're ready, mindfulness. And then when you're doing it with the people who know how to support you, you're not blocked. If you consistently have hard, we will, okay, so let's actually use Pat Ogden for a minute, because she has something good to say. Treat every symptom as having a purpose, not as a problem. Threats. There's intelligence in any symptom. Every symptom has a purpose. Okay, so your body, sensory experience, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. They come up because that's how they come up to be processed. And so sometimes the only thing to be done in a room, once you are aware of yourself, so here's your 1-year-old, all your child parts, you have to have all your child parts, okay? So you are mature, you can do that which is this, and understand subconscious sometimes doesn't have words. It only has behaviors. You don't want to pathologize it. You can name the inner critic, outer critic. That way you tame it. So there's ways every person will relate to themselves, but they want to become their higher, consistent, true self. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to true partnership. Otherwise, again, you got a mask. The masks are sure fun to be around, but it's a lacking depth because they will not get all of their emotions online so that they can be with an open heart. And that is something perceivable by those of us who are, whether you're 5D mystic or mindfully living, loving, spiritual, and or sciences based person, you'll perceive it. That's why, again, with the episode of us half safe pause self people, to me they were liars as a kid. I grew up and I found it ridiculous with my facade friend, and then I found out that they all will continue to live out their childhood on a roll with all the people that they're around them. So it's just something that you have to take ownership if you want. You don't have to. But yeah, the choice of fear is straightforward, which is why it's not a Lucifer. It's people who disregard going to get that heaven in the body and enlighten themselves. And I have seen 4D say, it's not about your inner child. So there's a bunch of spiritual people within the 4D community, I call it, telling you not to do any of what is good mental health. And I will say, why Patrick Tiahan, I love you, man. He is right when he says Boca Raton ain't going to get you to understand what your inner child is doing every time it comes up. That's why you get to have a group with people who talk about it and educate you, but in a way that you're taking responsibility, because your unkindness was not meant to be there. That's also why you might not want to forgive any of your household members until maybe one day. But you say, I wasn't meant to be unkind. I was meant to be able to accept that I am crooked. I am a sinner like anybody else. There's nothing good or bad, meaning we walk with integrity. We will not be ashamed because we will walk with respect of all and the law. And the law is important because not everybody has faith. You don't impose faith. You don't impose God on people. You don't impose spirituality. We need to prove spirituality. Okay, you obviously don't know that 97% of what is out there is unavailable for scientists to observe, which is why we have scientists who are going to disprove reality, and we have flat earthers and people don't believe in the moon landing. I mean, really, okay, this is that subjective reality, meaning people with smarts understand 5D collective is grounded, so nobody's competing. Spirituality, sciences comes together. People who are true partners expand each other with love, and everything that comes up does have a meaning, but sometimes there is no need for you to contemplate it. Mental construct is unnecessary once you understand your 1-year-old attached panicky comes up, 3 to 7, shame submissive, your flight of all ages, no, freeze of all ages, flight 11, 12, and fight 14, 15, 16, or you can call them exiles, or you can call them protectors. Basically, there's many different systems that people will work with, but trying to do it on your own, yeah, that's where it's a lot of people don't do it on their own, because you need to be able to be vulnerable and then to want to be kind to each other and not rigid and harsh, which is what instead the fallback is typically. But we'll continue our conversation. In the meantime, yes, true partnership. It is possible when you love as yourself. I'm flawed and perfect. You take me as I am, and that's you tell me, of course, in my face what's what, but not fear. You won't do it with mannerisms that are of a sympathetic or that are yesterday's news, your past, not mine. Okay, so we're not afraid to be our true selves with each other and to actually be vulnerable. That's the most amazing thing of romantic relationships, by the way, and all relationships. But there's that special bond that is created for those who are choosing to spend life together, which is always a conversation and more. And again, polyamory, monoamory, they coexist because securely attached people don't actually give each other, this is how you have to believe in something. No, it's more of, okay, let's understand who we are, what we are. Is it compatible, not compatible? What's respect, not respect? Again, it's a lot of nice conversations. We'll be back with more. I hope to see you again. Have a good one.